We are joined live on this special edition of the KRMG Morning News 8 a.m. in-depth hour by Oklahoma Congressman Tom Cole. Good morning, Congressman.
Actually, this is Senator Lankford.
Oh, this is Senator. Okay.
Yep.
I'm sorry. We've got too many guests, Jim.
Yeah.
Good to,
you know what?
that's
not a bad lineup to be able to have, though.
No, we've had Jim Inhofe on. We had Mark Wayne Mullen on earlier. As you watch all this going on in the House, what are your thoughts?
It's a normal process, actually, as crazy as that may sound. Everyone may look at it because they're getting a chance to look inside of the machine at this point. But you've got 435 people in the House of Representatives, and they all have different opinions on things. Try getting 100 people together and trying to decide where you're going to go for lunch and see how challenging it is. This is dealing with things infinitely more important than just where we're going for lunch. It's a matter of how we're going to handle health care and trying to correct a major issue that's been created by Obamacare for a lot of people and trying to get that fixed without causing more harm.
Explain to us why it matters what the House passes if the Senate's going to modify it a great deal.
Well, because the House will be the base portion of it. The Senate will have a modification that will basically be what's called a manager's amendment. So it'll be taking all that the House text was there, making changes, doing one big piece that'll come out, and then there'll be other amendments that are added to it in the Senate. Most of those amendments will not pass, if any of them pass, because they won't be able to find enough agreement, which means the main structure of this proposal will be the House proposal with some changes and a manager's amendment. So it's incredibly important that it gets right. Now, there are things that we need to change in the Senate. The way the tax credits work, I think, are too low for those, especially that are senior adults, and for folks that are having more expensive health care. That particular set of tax credits won't work. They also give tax credits to individuals that are at 700, 800% of poverty. That's twice as much as what Obamacare did. And so I think there's some areas to be able to make sure that we can have some people on the lower end of the spectrum get additional help in their health care, and have folks that are up in 800% of poverty not have help the same way.
You know, speaking to what you just said, Senator Inhofe told us about an hour ago that he's okay with it coming this way, and you guys just making changes, or the Senate just making changes, yet you don't believe a lot of those will stick. That's going to be kind of a wicket there, isn't it, trying to get one past the other? That's a bit of a differing of opinions.
It is a real challenge. I think there are some changes that will be made. We're trying to finish negotiations with our Senate leadership on what those changes will be, but there'll have to be a widespread agreement among all members before we do a manager's amendment to be able to get it done. One of those things being the subsidies, to make sure that people that are on the lower end are not cut off and away from health care. It becomes exceptionally important. The promise of the president from the very beginning is those that are receiving help right now won't be cut off, and I want to make sure that actually holds true.
Do you lobby House of Representative members? I mean, whether casually or deliberately, have you talked to any of them who are opposed to this, saying, look, you need to get on board?
No, I haven't talked to them about how to get on board. I've talked to them about what are the key problems. I really see a lot of my role as, all right, let's try to listen to all voices. Let's try to figure out where do we have common ground. We're arguing past each other rather than trying to find a resolution. So I try to look for those individuals that actually want to get to a yes, to say, here's the problem, it's a legitimate problem, here's the problem, figure out a solution, and then to be able to work with House members to say, okay, we figured out a solution to this on the Senate, see if you can put this in an amendment on the House side, and we've been able to push through some of those. I have many relationships from the time that I was in the House with a lot of House members, and I take advantage of those conversations to see, let's try to work it out so we can actually get this solved. At the end of the day, no one wants to see Obamacare stay where it is. We had 76% increase for those in the individual market just last year in Oklahoma, 35% increase the year before, down to one insurance carrier for the entire state. This is an accelerating issue for us. We've got to get on top of this before it continues to get even worse.
Well, and
so it's important we get it solved.
Speaking of accelerating, I mean, this has been a very fast process in the House. We've heard Mitch McConnell say this morning that if it gets to the Senate, he wants to get it passed in the Senate by the end of next week, so the week after can be all about the confirmation of Neil Gorsuch to the Supreme Court. Are you okay with the speed with which this is proceeding, or maybe not? We'll see later today.
Well, if we can get the text out in the Senate, that's been my issue. We talked about and had meetings on as recently as just an hour ago, saying we have got to get the text of what we're going to talk about in the final manager's amendment, so we have time over the weekend to be able to go through it. If we get that on Monday and we're voting on it Tuesday, no, I'm not okay with this. Now, this is not a 2,700-page bill like Obamacare was. This is about 150 pages, so you can get through it and get through the details. But you've got to get a scoring for what the costs will be,
from the CBO.
where the savings will be from CBO. and you've got to be able to get time to be able to go through the text. So the plan at this point is if the House passes it this week, we have a manager's amendment working on the weekend in the Senate. We bring it up for debate in the Senate all next week, pass whatever our version will be, send it back to the House because they'll have to pass then our version when it's said and done, and then to be able to go on to the president. So that gives us about 2.5 weeks to be able to finish it.
What's your gut feeling about what's going to happen? What's your gut feeling about what's going to happen today?
My gut feeling is the House passes it somewhere around 11 o'clock tonight. They'll continue to negotiate. It's amazing to me every hour some new media source is saying, okay, this member has changed their mind, or they've negotiated, or they've been able to get an answer that they need from the Senate on what's going to happen in the Senate, and so that back and forth will happen. Obviously, all 5 members of our House delegation have already publicly come out and said this deal is the most conservative that we can possibly get through all the Senate rules and the standards that we're in right now, and we'll see where things go.
Senator, thank you very much. We appreciate you joining us this morning. That's Senator James Lankford.
Glad to be part of the all-star lineup y'all are doing.
We always appreciate your time on this show. Thank you, sir.
All right, thanks, guys.